Good afternoon and welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Due to the evolving situation with the COVID-19 novel coronavirus and health recommendations from the LA County Health Department, the Commission on the Status of Women meeting will be available to the public electronically. Due to social distancing requirements, the public will not be able to attend the meeting. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. The meeting can be viewed on local cable, Charter Cable Channel 6 and AT&T Uverse Channel 99. The meeting can also be viewed online at www.glendaleca.gov by scrolling all the way down to the bottom of the page and selecting live streaming, which is on the third icon from the left. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting these questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person during the Commission on the Status of Women meeting. May I have roll call, please?
Chair Brisalian.
Present.
Commissioner Hojayan.
Present.
Commissioner Lambolat.
Here.
Commissioner Perrian.
Present.
Commissioner Simerjan.
Present.
Ex officio Armstrong.
Present.
Ex officio Del Castillo.
Present.
Thank you, Ms. Harapetian. Next item, please.
Item 2, regular business agenda. Item 2A, report of recorder regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for the February 8th, 2021 regular meeting of the Commission on the Status of Women was posted on February 4th, 2021 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Item 3, introductions and presentations. Item 3A, introduction of new Commissioner Seda Jayan.
Thank you. Welcome, Commissioner Hojayan, back to the Commission.
Thanks.
Would you like to say a few words, Commissioner Hojayan?
Yes. Good evening, Chair Susan Brasilian, Vice Chair Armine Perian, Commissioners Diana Lambolet and Alina Semerjian. Really, I am eternally grateful to have this opportunity to serve a second term on the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Before I say anything else, I would like to thank City Council member Ari Katsahian for his recommendation, me and City Council for appointing me once again. I'm looking forward to working with this commission to work towards having a city that truly become a space that empower all, especially women and young girls. We must continue to strive towards a city that honors women's rights and ensures the equal participation of women in the city's affairs. Through this commission, we will make sure that the City of Glendale is placed that value equity and justice. I think we all come together as a community and family for the future of our women and young girls. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to work with you all again.
Thank you, Commissioner Hojayan. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 4, or comment discussion, is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation and report. Chair Brisalian, there are no calls at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 5, consent items. Item 5A, approval of the minutes of the regular Commission on the Status of Women meeting held on November 9th, 2020.
Great. May I have a motion for this item, please?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hojayan.
Yes.
Commissioner Lamboat,
Yes.
Commissioner Perrin,
Yes.
Commissioner Submergent, Commissioner Submergent,
Yes.
Chair Brazilian.
Yes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 6, action items. Item 6A, update regarding ad hoc committees to support the 2019 to 2022 strategic plan for the Commission on the Status of Women. Item 1, motion providing further direction on ad hoc committees.
Okay, this item is open for discussion. Any commissioners have updates on their ad hoc committees? And let's welcome Commissioner Kojayan. Commissioner Kojayan, let us know if you're interested in joining any of the ad hoc committees.
Yes, I would like, but I can see that the only what's left from because if it's more than 2 commissioner, I think the one that is Alina only left that she's only one.
Okay, which one is that?
Because I like to join, but I like to join the education, the one it says community partnership, but I can't because it's already 2 commissioners there. I think what's left is only the ad hoc communication and education. Am I right?
That's correct, Commissioner Kojayan, yes.
Yes, okay.
So would you like to join that one?
Yes, to be, part of it because I like to do the others, but I can't, only this one left. Okay.
Okay, that was the education.
The one it's left is, I think, it says ad hoc committee 2, communication and education. The other ones is already been full. Yeah.
Communication and education. Okay. Okay, so may we have a motion to add Commissioner Kojayan to the ad hoc committee 2, communication and education?
I move.
I second.
Okay, so we'll have roll call on this.
Commissioner Kojayan,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamboat,
Yes.
Commissioner Perrin,
Yes.
Commissioner Submergent,
Yes.
Chair Brazilian.
Yes. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item 6B, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Item 1, motion providing direction to request a proclamation from Glendale City Council designating April 2021 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Okay, Ms. Powers, may we have a report on this item, please?
Certainly. Chair Broussalian, members of the Commission, April 2021 marks the official 20th anniversary of Sexual Assault Awareness Month, also known as SAM. In the United States, movements for social change and equality began to take traction in the 40s and 50s, coupled with the civil rights era. And although open discussions of the realities of sexual assault and domestic violence were limited at these times, there were activists for equal rights who began to challenge the status quo. Efforts during this time were championed by Black women and women of color. Advocates like Rosa Parks worked at the intersections of race-based and gender-based violence, which we now refer to as intersectionality. And white social activism around the issue of sexual assault continued into the 70s, and with it, it brought support for survivors and heightened awareness. The first Rape Crisis Center was founded in San Francisco in 1971. And the following decades mobilized survivors and advocates to call for legislation funding that would support survivors, such as the Violence Against Women Act of 1993. Monumental changes such as this act demonstrated that national efforts promoting sexual violence prevention were needed. SAM was first nationally observed in 2001. But even before this time, there was a lot of advocates who had been holding marches, events, and observances. But in an effort to coordinate awareness and prevention efforts in 2000, the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, they pulled different coalitions who worked on these efforts, and they asked them what month and what color they prefer so they could codify this awareness movement. And they showed that there was a preference for teal, and there was a preference for April, as they had been holding a lot of events in April. And so in order to commemorate the 20th anniversary of Sexual Assault Awareness Month and promote awareness, the Commission can consider requesting a proclamation designating April 2021 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and commemorating the 20th anniversary. And this proclamation would be presented by the Mayor and Glendale City Council to the Chair of this commission virtually during a city council meeting, either towards the end of March or the beginning of April. And that concludes my report and brief history lesson on Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
Would anyone like to discuss whether this is something you're interested in doing and passing a motion?
Commissioner Brusilian, may I speak?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think we certainly ought to request the proclamation from the City Council. It's in line with the goals of the Commission, I think, in all respects.
I agree, and I concur with Commissioner Lambelat on that.
So then, is that your second, Commissioner Perrion? You'll second the motion? Okay,
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that, ladies. Okay, so roll call, please.
Commissioner Kojarian,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambelat,
Yes.
Commissioner Perrion, Commissioner Perrion,
Yes. Sorry, did I misspeak?
Commissioner Simmergen,
Yes.
and Chair Brusalian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item C, Commission on the Status of Women's Legislative Agenda. Item C1, motion providing direction on legislative agenda.
Okay, Ms. Powers, may we have a report on this item, please?
Absolutely. Chair Brusalian, members of the Commission, based on this Commission's adopted legislative platform, staff tracks and reviews legislation that fits within this platform, which is included as Exhibit 1 of your report, and brings proposed state legislation to the Commission with recommendations to support or oppose such legislation, which then in turn goes to City Council for their approval and incorporation into their legislative agenda for the year. The state legislature reconvened on January 11th of this year for the first year of the new 2-year session and has until February 19th to introduce new legislation. They're still meeting remotely due to the pandemic. For newly introduced bills, the state legislature has until June 4 to pass these bills out of their House of Origin. Currently, the state legislature is focusing on COVID-related bills and the state budget, and they're not going to hear any non-COVID related bills until probably early April at the very soonest. At this time, there's 2 new bills introduced in the new sessions that are being presented for consideration by the Commission as it's in line with your platform. And based on the Commission's actions on these bills, staff will pass along these recommendations to City Council, as mentioned earlier, for their approval, and letters of support or opposition would be signed by the Mayor and distributed to legislators as needed. So the first bill for your consideration this evening is Assembly Bill 367, and that is authored by Christina Garcia regarding menstrual products. You recall the Commission has supported different efforts by Assemblymember Garcia related to the tax, not repealing the tax on feminine hygiene products that she's brought up in previous years. So this bill was introduced on February 1st of this year. It's not eligible to be heard in any committees until March 4th at the earliest. And if passed, this bill would enact the Menstrual Equity Act of 2021, which would require a public school maintaining any combination of classes from grades 6 to 12 to stock at least 50% of the school's restrooms with free menstrual products at all times. It would also require the California State University and each community college district to also stock 50% of all campus restrooms with free menstrual products at all times, and would encourage the regions of University of California and private universities, colleges, and institutions of higher learning to do the same. The bill would require a public agency to stock also 50% of all restrooms that are open to the public or used by employees with free menstrual products at all times. And staff recommends support of this bill for your consideration. The other bill this evening that's being presented to you is Assembly Bill 378 by Assemblymember Bauer Kahan regarding state offices. This bill was also introduced February 1st and can't be heard prior to March 4th. And what this bill has to do with is taking any gender-specific references, establishing state governments in the state of California offices and turning them into more neutral. So our current law establishes in state government the offices of the governor, lieutenant governor, the secretary of state, controller, attorney general, board of equalizations, and the insurance commissioner. The bill would remove gendered language. Right now, a lot of these offices are referred to as he, and would make other little minor changes such as these, and it would change the he, him to their, them. And staff also recommends support of this bill. And after this, the next legislative update would come to the commission in May. That will contain additional bills for the commission's consideration as more bills are introduced in this session. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Okay. We don't need to have a motion for anything here, do we? Okay.
Yes, please, Chair Broussalian. And the motion could be if the commission considers supporting both of these bills, it would be a motion to approve the bills as presented. But if there's discussion and the commission is wanting to support one over the other or none of them at all, then that can also take place. But it would require a motion to either support or not support these bills. Thank you.
I move, this is Commissioner Lambolat, I move to support both bills.
I second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kojayan,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambolat,
Yes.
Commissioner Perrian.
I have to, can I add a comment? I apologize for not chiming in sooner. I support the second one with the gender differentiation. The first one, I still have some questions as to how that would come about. Not that I don't support it, but I would like to learn a little bit more about what is being proposed and how it's going to be achieved. The provisions of menstrual products at these locations.
Chair Broussalian, this is Lucy Varpetian. We are in the middle of a vote. If she has questions that she needs to answer that would prevent her from voting at this time, maybe she can vote no, and then we could introduce it again after her questions have been answered. But if she is prepared to vote, Commissioner Perrian is prepared to vote, maybe we can conclude the vote and then provide the additional information that's needed. But we are in the middle of a vote.
I apologize.
Okay, so do you want to continue voting, or yes or no? And then we can.
There's also the option to abstain, Commissioner Perrian.
Okay, then I will abstain on the first one, and I will vote yes for the second one.
So I believe it's a single motion, so you'd have to vote yes, no, or abstain on the entire motion.
Oh, then I guess I have to abstain on the entire motion.
Commissioner Simmergen.
I will also be abstaining on this one.
Chair Brazilian.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you'd like to ask those questions now, by all means do, and you can receive the additional information. The idea wasn't to discourage the question, but we were in the middle of roll call.
And I do apologize. So yes, I would like to learn more about the first one, as far as how these facilities are going to go about ensuring 50% and ensuring the product is provided, and what the is this going to be a tax impact on California residents, or is this going to be something for especially like private organizations or private universities? Is this going to impact tuition in any way? I just would like to learn more about the details of what is being proposed here.
Certainly, Commissioner Perrin. At this time, it would create a like a financial, I don't want to use the word burden, but it would be upon the schools to pay for these items. So there is a fiscal mandate on them. As far as how universities and schools are going to balance that, I'm not exactly sure. We can look into that. The bill just stipulates this is what needs to happen, and that how it goes about happening. We can try to get more additional information, perhaps from the bill's authors. Their staff can provide us with their insight as to how they think that this should be achieved. That's something that we can do and provide to all the commissioners.
I would personally appreciate that, because I'm very curious as to, you know, how this is going to be imposed on the institutions to comply.
Certainly, and we can get that information once we obtain it to all commissioners.
I have a question. How would they pass these out and make sure that they're, you know, equally passed out or given to the students, so that one student doesn't take a lot of it? You know what I mean?
Like stealing it?
Like stealing it. Thank you. I didn't want to say it, but how would they make sure?
I would imagine if someone is taking menstrual products, they're taking it because they need them. I'm not quite sure what else they would be doing with them, but I imagine they would be in the type of containers that you see, dispensers, I should say, that you see now. It just wouldn't have the coin operated device that you would have to pay for them. I think that would be the only difference, is the dispensers would be in the restrooms, but there wouldn't be a fee associated with them.
Ms. Powers?
Yes.
Commissioner Lambelat, I am assuming that the bill is not detailed enough so that it indicates how the school has to execute it, just that the school needs to meet those requirements, and it's up to the schools to execute them in the way they feel is most appropriate. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. The bill puts out what the mandate would be should it pass, and it's up to schools to determine how best to achieve it should it become law.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Lambelat. But again, we can go to the bill author, Assemblymember Garcia's office, and ask them questions. Sometimes they have ideas that they, related to the bill that doesn't necessarily go into the bill. And that's sometimes helpful. It's to help them in interpretation of the bill and how they would achieve what the bill says.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item D, consideration and discussion of a partnership with Seroptimus International of Glendale for a virtual human trafficking educational event. Item 1, motion providing direction regarding a request for a monetary contribution and in-kind services.
Ms. Powers, may we have a report on this item, please?
Absolutely. Chair Brusalian, members of the commission, as we've discussed here in this forum before, human trafficking is among the world's fastest growing criminal enterprises, and it's estimated to be a $150 billion a year global industry. It is a form of modern day slavery. It profits from the exploitation of our most vulnerable populations, which most often includes women and girls. There is a common misperception that human trafficking requires movement across borders, when in reality, it simply involves controlling a person or group through force, fraud, or coercion to exploit those victims for forced labor, sexual exploitation, or both. The International Labor Organization estimates that there are more than 24.9 million human trafficking victims worldwide at any time. This number is broken down to 16 million victims of labor exploitation, which is the more common form of human trafficking, and 4.8 million victims of sexual exploitation, and 4.1 million victims of state-imposed forced labor. Young girls and women are 57.6% of forced labor victims and 99.4% of sex trafficking victims. And California is one of the nation's top destination states for trafficking human beings. Although the pandemic of 2020 has hindered or halted many industries in the nation, it certainly hasn't stopped human traffickers. And so this remains a persistent issue. And recent data released by the Polaris Project, which is a nonprofit organization who works to combat human trafficking, reported a 40% increase in crisis trafficking incidents in April of 2020 compared to April of 2019. So in this vein, Seroptimus International of Glendale, who is a nonprofit volunteer organization that we are all familiar with and have partnered in the past, has been working to raise awareness of human trafficking for almost a decade now. And for the past few years, they have partnered with Glendale Community College to raise student and community awareness of the dangers and prevalence of human trafficking. If you recall, commissioners, last February, the commission had agreed to partner with Seroptimus International Glendale for such a presentation, which unfortunately had to be canceled due to the pandemic. And so this year, the Seroptimus International of Glendale has reached out to the commission to seek a partnership for a virtual community-wide outreach human trafficking webinar, which would take place via Zoom on Thursday, March 25th at 4 p.m. The webinar will feature a presentation and discussion by Teresa Flores, who's a trafficking survivor, and her biography is presented to you as presented from the Seroptimus International in your report. So she would be speaking and as part of this presentation. So as part of the partnership, Seroptimus is requesting $500 in funds along with in-kind services to assist in implementing the programs. The funds would be used to offset the cost of the speaker, and in-kind services would include helping design the event flyer, as well as promoting the event through the city's various communication platforms, including social media. And that concludes my report, but with us is Jean Kagan from Seroptimus International of Glendale. Jean, thank you for joining us. You are welcome. If there's anything I've left off, you're welcome to include it at this time, or just be on standby if the commissioners have any questions. Well, thank you so much.
I'm happy to be on standby if there are any questions. You ably covered the topic for us. I would want to add that I have heard Teresa Flores present. She is an incredible woman. Her story, her personal story, is frightening when you consider it happened in an upper class neighborhood in the Midwest, that she was trafficked for over 2 years. She was stalked, she was intimidated, she was sold, she was a sex slave. I'm not going to tell you how she escaped, because You'll have to come to the Zoom program to hear those particulars. But I can tell you now that 30 years later, she is a licensed social worker. She has a master's in education. She's published 5 books, the most notable of which has the title, The Slave Across the Street. She has trained law enforcement. She has worked with the U.S. Attorney General on anti-trafficking programs. She has testified before the Senate and the House on anti-human trafficking. She is presented in the media and at hundreds of universities. She has more awards and recognitions that I could list here. She is an incredible individual. And her story, as I said, if you wanted something to graphically bring to light human trafficking and how to overcome, you want to hear Teresa Flores.
Commissioner Brusilian, may I speak?
Yes, please.
First of all, thank you, Ms. Kagan, for your presentation. Second of all, for full disclosure purposes, I am president of Seroptimus International Glendale this year. So I want to make sure that's clear. And then thirdly, this is not the same speaker that we had planned for last year, but she's a very dynamic speaker, and we hope, Seroptimus hopes that, you know, it results in a lot of attendance from members of the community. And the program this year and in years past has been to educate and bring awareness to the community of this situation that so many people still don't really understand or believe happens. Thank you.
When will this, when will this event take place again?
March 25th.
Thursday, March 25th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Great. Okay, so do we have a motion to move the $500 contribution?
So I would like to, I would motion, but before I go on with that, I would like to thank Ms. Kagan for coming by and doing the important work that Seroptimus International does. This truly is an epidemic, and it's a silent one that we don't hear about often enough. So I thank you and Ms. Flores for being so candid, because I know this can be a sensitive issue. I'm really glad that you're here, because I actually thought that I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking how good it would be if special victims, such as those being trafficked and abused, could have a popularized number like we have with 411 and 911, where it would be something that they can easily call, report, or we can, have a hotline or a tip line, something like that, so people can quickly call and give that information, and we wouldn't have to bear 911. So just something that I was thinking about that I'd like to pass on, since you are, part of that advocacy group. I thank you again, and I motion to support.
If I may, one of the initiatives that Ms. Flores has brought forward is she has created an organization called SOAP, Save Our Adolescents from Prostitution. And this organization, as one of its methods of working, places small bars of soaps in airports, in hotels, in women's restrooms, where people, especially young women who are either being trafficked or even domestic violence victims, can get information on how they can get help. And that will be one of the things that we will set up for her to be able to also provide information on soap.
Wonderful, perfect. Please don't forget truck stops. I know there are some initiatives.
We won't, don't worry.
Great, thank you.
You know, there is an organization called Truckers Against Human Trafficking.
Yes, I've heard. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion from Commissioner Samarjan. We would just need a second to approve this partnership and the funding. Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kojayan,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambelat, Commissioner Lambelat,
Yes.
Commissioner Perrion,
Yes.
Commissioner Samarjan,
Yes.
Chair Brusalian.
Yes.
Okay, next
Next
up
up,
is item 7, reports, information only. It doesn't seem like we have any items. So item 8, commission on the status of women staff comments.
If I may, I'd like to comment or just a quick update on ad hoc committee number 3.
yes, please go ahead, Commissioner.
I want to thank Commissioner Lambelat and ex officio Del Castillo for participating on this committee and attending a couple of meetings we have had since our last quarterly meeting. And we continue to evaluate and assess various organizations, and we're in progress in identifying these organizations to partner with and align with. That would be my update. And a quick side note, some of us are wearing red. February is American Heart Month. This does impact women greatly. And I just wanted to put the word out there for listening audiences to schedule checkups if you haven't, and visit organizations, online organizations, to learn more. One organization that comes to mind is cdc.gov, but certainly isn't the only one.
Thank you, Commissioner Perrion. Any other comments from any other commissioners or staff?
I have.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kojayan.
I don't know if you remember that March is coming, and I think March is Women's History Month. I remember before we used to have Demon Day. Is this still we are doing it or no?
We're not doing, Commissioner Kojayan, Denim Day, we're not doing, since that was a fundraiser in the City of Glendale workplace for employees who would wear denim and contribute. We would contribute money to Peace Over Violence, since most individuals are working from home at this time. That is not a fundraiser that we did this year, but certainly one that anyone can participate in and go to Peace Over Violence and contribute towards the Denim Day effort.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from anybody?
I would, if we're going to adjourn, are we?
Yeah, sure,
No.
unless you have something else to add.
Yes, I would like to adjourn the meeting in memory of the brave men and women who have lost their lives defending the Armenian people from yet another genocide from Turkey and Azerbaijan, who used international terrorists, plant cluster bombs, and chemical weapons on peaceful people in Artsakh. And I condemn in the strongest terms the ethnic cleansing of the indigenous people of Artsakh, who have voted over 80% to live in peace in their historical lands. I call on the government of Azerbaijan to release all prisoners of war, including many women. That's including civilian Maral Najarian from the Azeri-occupied city of Shushi. So I would like to adjourn in the memory of all the heroes of Armenia as a refugee of the first war who lost her father in the violence. I wish peace for the people of Armenia, and I call for justice to be served for the people who have lost their lives and the prisoners of war who are still being tortured in Azerbaijan today.
Thank you. Thank you for all your comments. So request a motion of adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
I second.
Thank you. So meeting adjourned at 6:13 p.m. Thank you, everyone.